Hi people, how's it going? I want to talk to you about something that happened on the 18th of November last year up in Masterton, which is up north somewhere. Phil Engel, an activist, a man who loves his country, i.e. New Zealand. He loves the flag of New Zealand. Phil Engel took it up on himself to go to a hikoi from them outside New Zealand. A hikoi is a Maori protest in New Zealand, and this protest had hundreds of Maori activists who believe they should be classed as something extra in New Zealand, first class citizens if you like. They are basically pushing for or wanting apartheid in New Zealand, where they get special privilege and everybody else, well, gets the privileges of second and third class if they've got no Maori blood in them. So the hikoi stated that there were to be no New Zealand flags at the hikoi and all Maori flags instead. So Phil Engel took it upon himself to have his own little protest, and he went down there with the traditional New Zealand flag, and he walked in front of the hikoi, the protest. Hundreds of Maori activists. He was there by himself. John Ansell was there filming, and he filmed Phil along with somebody else filming. Check out the film by John Ansell in the description because it's very interesting, but just bear in mind, wait for about 20 seconds before the film kicks in. But it's interesting to see how the police reacted and how the Maori activists reacted to Phil's little protest against their protest. Now Phil walked in front of the hikoi waving his traditional, what we know as the New Zealand flag, and John filmed him from a distance of about, 20-30 feet, so he captured it all. Phil was approached by what became known after was a well-known Killer Bees gang member who tried to intimidate Phil into putting that flag down, and you can't really hear what was being said, but you can see this bloke was standing over Phil and trying to intimidate him into buggering off, basically. And Phil wasn't having it. He was determined, no, I'm protesting against your protesting, and I'm protesting against the two-tier policing that is happening in New Zealand, and why people that look like me, i.e. Phil, are treated differently from Maori nowadays in the police and by the police and the courts. So the police were walking along. They told Phil to move on. Phil says no, and this all in front of the police, by the way. This bloke, this big Maori fella, grabbed the flagpole that Phil was waving, and they had a wrestle. And you can see it in the film yourself, in the description. Don't forget to take a look at the film. And it was quite physical. No punches were thrown, but you can see the intimidation that was happening. And he was a bigger, stronger guy than Mary, and he got the flagpole off Phil, and you can see him snapping the flagpole and throwing the flag on the floor. This is the New Zealand flag, by the way, the national flag of this country. And so Phil carried on walking, and he had a PA, one of those bullhorn things, and he was calling out the police, calling out the protests, and you can't really quite hear what he says. But then the police come after him, and quite a few police. You can see Phil run away at one stage, and eventually the police, in numbers, about 4, maybe 5 of them, jump on him, and it's all caught. John Ansell and whoever the other cameraman was, it was all caught on camera, and the police jump on this Phil, wrestle him to the ground and cuff him, and take him away. And now Phil is due in court in Masterton District Court at 9:30 in the morning next Tuesday, which I think is the 29th of April. And Barbara Morris, I think it is, the judge, and she's going to decide Phil's fate. He was offered a plea bargain and he said no, and he's going to represent himself. Now, who knows what's going to happen? Only the judge knows, only the law knows. Only God himself knows what's going to happen to Phil on Tuesday. Well, I think, just maybe, the judge will be pressured by Maori activists, Maori politicians, maybe even the Prime Minister, to make an example of Phil and put him in jail because he's being charged, would you believe, for inciting violence against Maori. It's a bloody joke, honestly. It's a bloody joke. This bloke was there by himself. Hundreds of Maori, hundreds of them, were behind him. And when I say Maori, I'll say it again, I say it all the time. Maori, and I'll say it very loosely. Every one of them have got mostly white man's blood running through the veins. Every single one of them. This is a gravy train. This is a shakedown of this country. And these people are just jumping on it because they want special treatment. Two-tier policing, two-tier justice system. We'll find out on Tuesday. 9:30 in the morning, 29th. If you're anywhere near Masterton, it's somewhere up north. I think it's near Wellington. I'm not really sure. But if you can get down there, get down and support Phil, because he needs your support. If you're a patriot and you believe that everyone in New Zealand should be equal, and not some people should be more equal than others, like most, well, a lot of Maori believe. They also believe the treaty was a partnership. They also believe that Maori are indigenous to New Zealand, and they are not. Neither is true. But that's what they are being fed by so-called Maori academics and Maori politicians in our parliament. The media in this country, via the Public Interest Journalist Fund, are not even allowed to report negative things about Maori now. Would you believe that? Not even allowed to. They've signed up to it. And they get paid not to report negative things about Maori. This country is going bonkers, I'm telling you. And I believe, I might be wrong, we'll find out on Tuesday, but Phil will be made an example of, to send out that chilling effect to the rest of white, I'm not going to say Pakeha, the rest of white, non-Maori New Zealand. If you do what Phil, if you're brave enough to do what Phil did, we're going to put you in prison. And that's what they're going to do. That's where New Zealand is, people. The police, when they jumped on Phil, look at the police. Police cars now, they're driving around in rainbow-coloured cars. Police cars. What kind of police have we got in New Zealand? They took the road of least resistance by jumping on Phil. Because he was easier. And let's face it, he was white, wasn't he? They can't be accused by Halfwiti Waititi and Debbie Packer and Willie Jackson of being racist. And that's where we are. That's how weak we've become, because we're not standing up for this country. New Zealand, not Aotearoa, New Zealand. Aotearoa is a new name that's only just been dreamed up. It's New Zealand. Anyway, I think I've covered what I need to say. 9:30, Masterton District Court on the 29th, next Tuesday. If you're anywhere nearby, get down there and show your support to Phil Engel. I'm sure John Ansell will be there. Have a good old chat with John, and because we're talking of real great patriots here to New Zealand, who really deeply care for this country and the way it's going. It's a travesty, an absolute travesty, because we've got cowards in government, absolutely cowards. The government, the Prime Minister, all sides, gutless cowards. Okay, I think I've said enough. Please like, leave a comment, subscribe to this channel, and share this video everywhere. Okay, see you later.